Welcome to Grandview's Growing with Language series. This is the Understanding Workshop, where the focus will be on improving your child's understanding. The major focus of today's session is helping your child better understand directions and questions. We will talk about why it is important for our children to understand language, ways we can support them in doing so, as well as strategies and tips to step it up and work on these goals with books, routines, and play at home. This workshop is designed for parents of children who are having difficulty following directions or responding to questions. This workshop is meant for children who are currently independently combining at least 2 words to make a sentence. For example, saying things like, "Mommy, help," "Train, go," or "No, my car." This is also for children who have developed some foundational social skills. This means that your child is interested and motivated to use words to express their needs and wants, and they can have basic back and forth conversations. For example, your child might say, "Mommy, cookie," and you might respond, "You want a cookie?" They might say, "Mommy, cookie." Let's take a moment to highlight how important you are in your child's developmental journey. Children learn best through relationships with the important people in their lives. As a parent, you are your child's best teacher because you know your children better than anyone else. You are in the best position to help him or her learn how to communicate. Like this quote says, you are your child's best teacher. You know them best and you spend the most time with them. This means you can have the biggest impact on your child's learning and development. Our goal today is to help you feel confident and comfortable using strategies to support their language development. We want to help you create an environment where language and interaction skills can thrive. Let's start with a few general strategies that we know will help support your child's understanding. 1. Get face-to-face. Being face-to-face with your child is super important, no matter their age. This is especially helpful when you are trying to get their attention. Getting down on their level and making sure they can see your eyes before you ask them a question or give them a direction is crucial. Another helpful tip is to follow your child's lead and engage their interests. A child is a lot more likely to respond to a question about their favorite snack or follow a direction that involves a motivating toy. If your kiddo has a specific interest, like trucks or dinosaurs or teddy bears, use this to your advantage and incorporate it into their learning. We also want to make sure that we aren't overloading our kiddos during an interaction. We want to create a balance between asking them questions or giving them directions and commenting or modeling. For instance, if you were being bombarded at work with questions and expectations, how long until that report is done? Have you sent it to HR? I need you to CC me and your manager. Make sure you attach the schedule at the bottom. Do you have the latest copy of it? You might be too overwhelmed to process the important pieces of information and respond accurately. A more balanced conversation with your child can help to support their overall understanding. Where are your mittens? I wonder if they're at the door. I see them. There you are, mittens. Put your mittens on, please. Another helpful tip is trying to keep the talking turns equal between you and your child. Like any good conversation partner, we don't want to control the conversation and not leave any room for our child to participate or process what we've said. This may feel a little unnatural at first, as we may be used to offering more in a conversation than our children typically do, or that we need to give them directions in order to accomplish anything. But taking a step back is a helpful way to encourage more processing time and better understanding for our kids. Let's talk a little bit more about understanding, also known as receptive language. There are a number of ways to tell whether your child has understood what you've said. For example, they may do what you've asked or carry out the instruction. They may answer your question appropriately. Their response will make sense, be on topic, and be relevant to the situation. Their facial expression or body language can communicate that they understand. Think something like a head nod or a head shake. Conversely, there are also a number of signs that your child has not understood what you've said. Maybe they don't complete the direction. For example, you say, "Get your cup and put it in the sink." Your child gets something other than the cup, or brings the cup to you or the table. Maybe they don't respond appropriately. For example, you ask, "What is she doing?" And your child says, water. Your child may also repeat a word from the question. For example, where is the cup? And your child says, cup. Or your child may be off topic. Let's say you're talking about going to the beach. You say, it sure was hot at the beach. And your child says, I like hockey, or something else off topic. This tells us that they haven't fully understood what we've said. Another hint to let us know that our kids aren't understanding is just generally having difficulty taking turns in a conversation. Lots of silence or less attention might tell us that they're not with us. Now, let's talk about following instructions. Children's ability to follow instructions is important so they can follow along in the classroom, play games directed by other children, complete routines at home, and understand what is expected of them in recreation activities like swimming or gymnastics. Sometimes behavior challenges can occur when children do not understand what is expected of them. By the time a child is 3 years old, we expect them to be able to complete a direction with 3 unrelated steps. For example, stand up, touch your nose, and say hello. When looking at a child's ability to follow instructions, consider, how many words are we using? Do they understand the single words in the instruction? How many steps are we giving them? Are the instructions in a highly routine activity like that they already know, like go to the door, put on your shoes, and grab your coat? Or are they new instructions? Go get your coat and bring it to the bedroom. Are you using concepts such as before or after? Some of these things may make following a direction a little more challenging for our child. Following directions actually involves a number of processing skills, such as paying attention, listening, understanding the meaning of the individual words in the sentence, and remembering. Specifically, your child needs to hold the direction in their working memory in order to be able to work with that information. Sometimes when a child fails to complete a direction, it is difficult to know at which level they're breaking down. Some children have difficulty shifting their attention from what they are doing, and that's why they don't complete the direction. In this instance, they haven't reached the listening and understanding stage. Some children understand the direction, but by the time they get geared up to do it, they've forgotten all or part of it. For instance, you may see this in directions with multiple steps. The child may do the first step and miss the second, or just do the last step. Directions can be more or less difficult for your child depending on a number of factors. 1. The number of information carrying or content words the direction contains. What I mean here is, imagine I have a collection of farm animal toys of different colors and sizes. Give me the horse would be 1 piece of information. Give me the brown horse would be 2 pieces of information. Give me the big brown horse would be 3 pieces of information. Give me a dog and a brown horse would also be 3 pieces of information. It is important to consider how much we are asking of our children. Even a simple question can contain a lot of content words. We also need to consider whether the direction has 1, 2, or 3 steps. Put the car down will be easier to understand than put the car down and go wash your hands. A direction will be more difficult when the steps are unrelated versus related. When it comes to related directions, we might tell a child to pick up the paper and put it in the garbage. Find your book and turn to page 2. Related directions may be a bit easier for a child to grasp because if they can understand part 1, it will usually help them understand the second part. Unrelated steps are not as easy. Think, drink your water, then clap your hands. By kindergarten, children will be inundated with multi-step, unrelated directions, so it is a good idea to start supporting their understanding of these now. Lastly, we want to consider whether the direction contains abstract concepts. Concrete concepts, those that you can see, touch, feel in our immediate environment, are easier to understand. Think physical objects or people in the room. Abstract concepts like happy, late, or wrong will be harder to understand. Let's take a minute and test our understanding. Which is harder? Get the cup, take a drink, and then put it on the table. Get the cup, open the book, and sit down. Or get the cup and take a drink. That's right, it's number 2. While both number 1 and number 2 are 3-step directions, the steps in the second instruction are unrelated, which we know will be more difficult for our child. Number 3 is easiest because it's not only related, but something that your child would likely do without having to give an instruction. Let's do another one. Which is harder? After you get the cup, pick up the book. Get the cup and then pick up the book. Before you get the cup, pick up the book. Yep, number 3 is the hardest. In number 3, your child has to figure out what they have to do first. What is this? Well, they have to pick up the book. Their understanding of the concept before is essential to their success in completing the direction appropriately. In number 1, after you get the cup, pick up the book, even if you remove the word after, it doesn't change the instruction. Also, children tend to do things in the order you say them anyway. Another area of difficulty your child might have is understanding or interpreting questions. Let's review the different types of questions in the order that they are usually developed or mastered. So, easiest to hardest. Choice questions. These are questions that give options for the answer. For example, do you want milk or juice? To answer a choice question, your child must be able to understand what the options are, understand the expectation to pick one, and express their choice by pointing, saying, or reaching. When kids are having difficulty with choice questions, they may try to take both items being offered, or they may echo the last few words of the question. For example, do you want milk or juice? The child might say, milk or juice. Choice questions are typically the first type of question that your child learns to respond to. Yes/no questions are typically the next step up from choice questions. They require a positive or negative answer. For example, do you want milk? To answer a yes/no question, your child must be able to understand all of the words in the question, understand the expectation to respond, and actually express their decision. They might nod or shake their head, they may point, or maybe they say yes or no. Kids usually learn to shake their head or say no before they learn how to nod their head or say yes. In the meantime, they may simply echo the last word in your question to show that they agree. For example, do you want juice? The child may say juice. Some yes/no questions are easier to answer than others. For instance, questions about your child's wants and needs, like do you want juice, are a lot easier to answer than a question about facts. Is the bus yellow? Is the family day holiday on a Monday or Friday this year? Kids are more likely to understand want and milk versus holiday. Next up are WH questions. These are questions that start with WH, like who, what, when, where, and why. How questions also fall into this category. For example, where are your mittens? Who is your friend? How did you do that? To answer a WH question, your child must be able to understand all of the words in the question, understand the expectation to respond, and respond appropriately. For instance, mittens over there. Not all WH questions are created equally. Some are harder than others. What, where, and who are the first to develop. Generally speaking, by age 3, we would expect a child to understand what, where, and who questions. These are easier to answer because they need a specific response and don't rely on more abstract thinking and higher level language skills. Why, when, and how are more difficult and often develop later. Why questions are somewhat more abstract to understand, which is perhaps why children ask them so often. Example, why, Daddy? Why, why, why? Any of you have children like this? Children may not truly understand what they are asking or what you are telling them. The development for understanding why questions is a more advanced skill, which we would expect to see emerging by about age 4. Oftentimes, we hear children begin to use because in their sentences, or they begin to repeat your why question. Why did you throw your cup? Because why I throw it. Or why did you hit your brother? Because why? Or because I hit him. At that point, we see that this skill is still emerging or beginning to develop. They may still have difficulty explaining their answer, as it involves higher level language reasoning, but you can see that the why form is developing. Note, how questions often ask us to identify the steps we take to complete a task, so your child may need to describe the steps using first, next, and last. If a child is having difficulty answering WH questions, there can be a few different reasons for this. For instance, the child may not know what type of information is being requested. Where is for location, who is for person, how is for procedure, when is about time. First, we have to make sure that they understand the question form. Or your child may not know the actual answer. For example, they may not know the answer to who is the Prime Minister, thus they can't respond appropriately. Or they may not know how to formulate a response. If sentence formulation is difficult for your child, even if they have the answer, they might not know how to put that answer into words or in a sentence. Now, let's talk about some ways for you to step up your child's understanding of language and ways you can support them at home. Here are a few ways that we can support our child's understanding and help them to follow directions. Start by getting their attention. This is especially important if they're already doing something. Get down on their level so you are face to face, call your child's name, and wait for them to stop what they are doing and look at you. Don't give the direction until you are sure that your child is attending to you. You may want to say something like, "It's time to listen," or "Use your listening ears." You can also stress key words like, "Put the paper in the garbage," or "Sit down." You can simplify your message or try saying it in a different way. And you can also show your child what you mean. For example, you can say, "Put it in the garbage," while pointing to the garbage can. The beauty of these strategies is that you can layer them on depending how much support your child needs. I may stress the word garbage, point to it, and then simplify my direction by just saying garbage. You can also alert your child to the number of steps, like saying, "I want you to do 2 things," while holding up 2 fingers. Or you can break down the instruction and build it back up. Something like, "Put your shoes in the closet and then go wash your hands," becomes, "Put your shoes in the closet and then go wash your hands." Then you build it back up and repeat your initial direction. "Put your shoes in the closet and then go wash your hands." Your child needs to practice hearing larger chunks of information, even if they need it broken down in order to follow it accurately at first. If your child still has trouble with multiple steps, try to break it down even further by doing 1 step at a time. Then, when you are done all of the steps, repeat the entire instruction so that they can hear it. A few more strategies include rehearsal. Rehearsal works well if your child can accurately copy what you said for the instruction. So this is somewhat dependent on their talking skills. Something like, "Put on your boots," followed by, "Your turn," encourages your kiddo to repeat back what you've just said. If the instruction is too long for them to say, then rehearsal may not be as helpful. In that case, you need to teach them to rehearse only the key or information-carrying words, like boots. Avoid repeating directions too many times, as sometimes this may interfere with your child's ability to process the direction. Repeating too many times also teaches children they don't have to worry about catching the direction the first time because they know it will be repeated again and again. Save yourself the headache, parents. Topic changes can also be confusing. For example, if you give your child an instruction about getting ready to go out, don't then talk to them about whether or not they had enough to eat for breakfast. Let them process 1 piece of information at a time before switching to the next. All right, let's talk about questions. How can you help your child understand any type of question? Just like with following directions, make sure to get their attention first. Call their name, get face-to-face, reduce distractions, etc. Start with the easier questions. Remember, the order typically goes choice questions, then yes or no questions, then what, where, and who, and finally, why, how, and when questions. Start with questions that are relevant to the activity. Start in context and then move to questions that are out of context. Think, what is this, while pointing to a banana, is going to be easier than what do monkeys eat, or what did you have for breakfast? Where is your car, while playing with cars, is going to be easier than where do you go to school? Why do you need an umbrella, when we can look outside and see if it's raining, will be easier to respond to than why do we need food? And then, of course, wait. Give your child a chance to think about your question and their response. To help your child respond to choice questions specifically, there are a few things you can do. One, you can use visual cues, like holding up the actual items that you are expecting them to choose from. Or you could offer a choice between a preferred and non-preferred item. Do you want an onion or a cookie? You could also try holding the potentially desired item closer to the child in the foreground and saying that option with emphasis. For example, do you want an onion or a cookie? Another trick is to try offering the anticipated answer second so that it's the last word they hear. Remember to wait and give your child a chance to think about the question and how to answer it. If a child is still having difficulty after these cues, you can model the answer. I want a cookie. To help your child respond to yes/no questions, you can, again, use visual cues like facial expressions, smiling or frowning, emphasizing your own head nod or shake, or using pictures, maybe a happy face or a sad face to show yes and no, or a check mark and X. You can also lead them to the answer by holding the option near your child. Make the first sound, "ee," if you want them to say yes, or smiling and looking happy when expecting a positive answer. You can also model the answer with the question. Do you want milk? Yes! This strategy often works well for kids who echo the last word of what you say. You can also repeat opportunities to really drive the practice home. Work on either no or yes in a repeated way so that your child is in the zone. For example, offer a snack bit by bit so you can periodically ask your child, do you want more crackers? And they can practice responding with yes. This also works well with bubbles if you're looking for an activity idea. Again, remember to wait to give your child a chance to think about the question and how to answer it. Little ones take longer than us to think through the questions we ask and their answers. For WH questions, you can, you guessed it, use visual cues like objects, pictures, gestures, or drawings. You can provide a choice. For example, who is eating the banana, the monkey or the rabbit? Where is the cup? Is it on the table or under the table? You can also give verbal hints. For example, remember, who is for people? Or you can prompt your child to answer a why question by modeling because and letting them fill in the blanks. You can also just model the answer. Where is the car? Oh, it's under the couch. It can be helpful to only work on one type of WH question at a time or per activity. So be sure that your child understands what questions before beginning to teach who questions. Or asking them multiple questions back to back, like, where's your water bottle? Why isn't it in your bag? Who took it out? And as usual, remember to wait to give your child a chance to think about the question and how to answer it. Now, this is my favorite section because it tells us how we can help our kids during activities that we are already doing every day, our daily routines. The best time for children to learn new words and skills is during everyday conversation and activities with you. Whenever you spend time with your child, you have an opportunity to interact with them and build their understanding of language. This could be during mealtime, bath time, bedtime, grocery shopping, going to the park, or getting dressed. Think about the amount of directions or questions we can practice during daily chores, like setting the table or helping with laundry. Get your blue socks, get your shirt and put it in the drawer, or when cooking together and following recipes. Pour the flour and stir it with the spoon. Do you like spaghetti? Where is the sauce? Or crafts. Do you want the pink feather or the orange feather? Shake the glue and put it on the paper. The opportunities really are endless, and it doesn't add a lot to our already massive workload as parents. Let's work smarter, not harder. When thinking about how we can support our children during play, look for toys that appeal to your child's interests and imagination and keep it fun, encourage interaction between you and your child, allow you to practice questions and instructions as part of the play, and provide an opportunity to repeat. So bubbles, toys with pieces you can offer bit by bit, things like that. Now, don't feel the need to rush out and buy anything new. A lot of the toys you already have at home fall into these categories. If these are available to your child, great. Let them pick the toy and then start the interaction. Some ideas to practice following directions and answering questions at home in fun ways are scavenger hunts. Give your child an instruction to find an object around your home. For instance, go to your bedroom and find a book. Find a car under the kitchen table and bring it to Daddy. Or even at the park. Get the ball and run to Mom. Walk up the stairs and go down the slide. You can also hide items around your home and ask, "Where is it?" or "Who found it?" Another great game is Simon Says. Give your child 1, 2, or 3-step instructions. Touch your nose, hop on one foot, stick out your tongue, count to 5, something like that. Movement games are also great, like What Time Is It, Mr. Wolf, Red Rover, Red Light, Green Light, etc. And then there's always crafts. You can practice instructions. Get a blue feather and paste it on the bird, or shake the glitter and put it on the paper. Or you can ask questions. Choice questions like, do you want the red paper or the blue paper? And lots of yes/no questions. Do you need the orange marker? You can also ask where, if you're talking about materials in different locations around the room or on the paper itself. You can ask who, if you're playing with siblings or doing crafts with the grandma or grandpa. And you can also ask lots of why questions. Why do we need glue? Here is a video of a mom and daughter playing together. You'll notice Mom models appropriate language and talks about the pieces of the game first. She gives 1-step directions with 1 to 2 information-carrying words during the activity. After her child completes the direction, she reiterates the direction that was just completed. Let's watch.
Are you ready to play with some potato heads? Yeah. Let's count them. We have 1 potato head, 2 potato heads, and 3 potato heads. Okay, let's start with some shoes. Can you get the blue shoes?
Which one, potato head? Daddy.
Sure, those could be Daddy's shoes.
I'm gonna catch it.
You're going to catch the Daddy potato head. Make him stand up.
Waddle like a penguin.
He is waddling like a penguin. Waddle, waddle, waddle. Okay, ready? Can you please get green shoes for the baby?
No, for the yellow shoes for the mommy.
Oh, you want yellow shoes for the mommy instead. Okay. Whose shoes are these?
The baby.
These are the baby's shoes. I'm going to put them on. No? Okay. I will leave it for you. Mommy is also waddling. Look here. I have black eyes and blue eyes. Give the black eyes to Daddy. Let's give the black eyes to Daddy.
I need it.
Yeah, first give the black eyes to Daddy.
This Daddy.
Can you give a pink nose to the mummy? Oh, excellent. And I think the red nose is?
For the Daddy head.
Yeah, that is the Daddy's nose. Penguins, give the red purse to the mummy.
Can you put it on?
Sure, I can do
This
that.
mommy.
Yeah. Okay, we'll slip it over her hand carefully. Flip. There we go. All right. How about, I think the Daddy needs yellow glasses. You can try to make them Mommy needs the green glasses. All right. Okay, let's do it together.
Uh-oh.
What's wrong?
The car.
Her hat? Okay, well, here. There we go. Okay, and last piece. Can you please give the blue hat to the baby?
Yes.
Wow, that is one beautiful family.
Let's talk about how we can step it up with books. Look for books that have clear, colorful, and appealing illustrations that encourage children to label and point, books that include repetitive themes or fun-sounding words, books that appeal to your child's interest and imagination, those that have predictable outcomes, and those that encourage interaction and participation. Again, if you have these available, great. Let your child choose the book and then start. Here are some books that are a good choice for promoting following directions. Lift the Flap books, I Spy books, and first word or vocabulary books. These often have a lot of different pictures on the pages. Some specific examples include From Head to Toes by Eric Carle. There are lots of instructions in this one. Turn your head, bend your neck, raise your shoulders, etc. Another few are by Sandra Boynton. Barnyard Dance or Horns to Toes. Lots of instructions here. Stomp your feet, clap your hands, or point to the head, point to the eyes. Here are some books that are a good choice for practicing answering questions. Again, be sure to check your home first. You may already have some of these books on your bookshelf. Your local library is another great option when trying out new books at home with your kids. Choice questions can be worked on in any book, as can yes/no questions. Lift the Flap books are great for targeting where and who. And I Spy books can be turned into a fun lookout game. Where is the bouncy ball? Where is the duck? You can see other examples on the slide as well. Now, let's take a second to talk about apps. A lot of families express interest in using apps to teach language and literacy skills to their child. There are a few things to consider when using apps to build your child's language skills. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommends a maximum of 2 hours of screen time per day for children over 2 years of age. This includes any time playing on your phone, watching TV, playing on their iPad or tablet, etc. In addition, a recent study found that traditional toys and books were substantially better than electronic toys in encouraging talking and modeling of more specific vocabulary by adults. So, a good point to remember here is moderation is key. A few final thoughts. Regardless of your specific goal area, remember to have fun. This is the most important. If you and your child are enjoying the interaction, they're more likely to be ready for learning, and it's more likely that your child will stay longer in that interaction with you. Go with the flow based on the situation, and look for natural opportunities to highlight and model new language during play, reading, and your daily routines. Try and connect the new target that you're working on to your child's interests. And don't overdo it. Balance teaching moments with actual enjoyment of the activity. Make more comments and ask fewer questions. Try and remember to teach rather than test. Thank you so much for joining us for the Growing with Language Understanding series. We hope that you learned something new.